Is there actually a best time of year to retire, especially if you are someone pursuing early retirement? Or can you just pick any month and just call it good? You've spent your whole life building up to this moment, and while you can technically retire whenever you want, there are actually times where it might be more optimal in the year to retire and make it more efficient for your plan. In a moment, I'm going to share with you what months I think make the most sense. And of course, it wouldn't be a Modern Wealth video if we didn't do a case study. So stick around. I promise you don't want to miss it. Welcome back, guys. If it's your first time here, my name is John Boyd. I'm a certified financial planner, and I'm the founder of Modern Wealth, where we specialize in helping people retire early. If you want to see how we can build a dynamic plan that helps you do just that, check out our free retirement assessment in the description below. So when's the best time to retire? Well, like most things we discuss, it depends. However, here are the key factors to think about when you're making this decision. Number one, your pension. If you have one, find out the first date you're actually eligible to start drawing it. Sometimes retiring even a month earlier or later can change the payout slightly. So it's worth calling the plan administrator and asking for a benefit summary before you set your retirement date. Number two, bonuses and profit sharing. If your company pays out annual bonuses, you ideally want to time retirement right after the payment hits your account. For example, many companies pay bonuses in the first quarter, and walking away a few weeks earlier could mean leaving thousands of dollars on the table. Number three, PTO. Make sure you understand when vacation and PTO renew or expire. A lot of people plan their retirement right after that renewal so that they can cash out or use it before leaving. I personally recommend trying to cash out as much as possible. Number four, health insurance. Assuming you're under 65 and not yet on Medicare, COBRA can provide coverage for up to 18 months after you leave your job. However, opting for COBRA may not always be the best move. Depending on what your modified adjusted gross income is in your first year of retirement, it actually might make sense to forego COBRA and utilize an ACA plan instead, where tax subsidies can greatly reduce your health insurance costs. Number five, Social Security. If you're eligible, a lot of people we work with intentionally choose to retire at 62 to draw Social Security. As a result, a lot of folks want to line up their retirement date when they are eligible to draw Social Security so that they continuously have cash flow coming in. So for example, if you turn 62 in June and are eligible for Social Security, you might want to consider retiring then and taking Social Security at that moment. However, in a moment, you'll see that it actually might make sense to delay just a little, since income planning is usually a little wonky that first year of retirement. And number six, and this is my personal favorite, the tax planning window. Retiring in the first half of the year gives you the most amount of tax flexibility. Let's say you make $100,000 annually and you retire in March. That means you've only earned about a quarter of your normal income for the year. That can open the door to lower tax brackets, getting health insurance tax subsidies, allowing more of your Social Security to be tax-free, and more. All right, guys, so let's tie all this together with a case study. And our wonderful imaginary client that we're going to be looking at today is Tiana Johnson. And we're going to assume that today is January 1st, 2025. Now, Tiana makes $100,000 annually. She's 61 and she wants to retire in June of 2025 when she turns 62 so that she can get on Social Security ASAP and keep that money coming in. She also has a decent amount in savings. She has $850,000 in her 401k, $120,000 in her Roth, and $10,000 in cash. She also plans on paying $700 a month in COBRA to keep her current health insurance since she isn't eligible for Medicare. So from a tax standpoint, let's actually model all this out. All right. So if we take a look at her projected income, right? So we take her pay stubs, all that good stuff, and we model what this actually looks like. She's going to have taxable income of around $45,000. Now, how we got to that figure here is her gross compensation. We literally modeled out her salary and her PTO being paid out. Remember, a lot of people get that PTO paid out that last year of retirement. Okay, so that salary is paid out, PTO is paid out. Again, we dialed this into a T because we looked at her pay stub. We saw that she put in some money into her 401k, paid for health insurance, right? So that's a pre-tax deduction. And then, of course, she withheld taxes on the wages and PTO. And these are the tax withholding that we see for the year. Okay, so that is how we came up with this figure. Again, by looking at Tiana's actual pay stubs, that final one when she retired. Okay, now, again, this is just kind of her halfway for the year tax projection. If we go ahead and fast forward, okay, if we fast forward here, her total tax liability is going to be around $3,239. She withheld, so she's actually going to get pretty solid refund on the federal and state level. Okay, so again, looking good so far. But the $1 million question is, she still has the second half of the year to go and she just retired. Okay, so what is her income going to look like now that, according to her initial game plan, is to take Social Security right away? So let's actually look at that scenario here. And let's pull that up. All right. So again, what you should be looking at here in scenario 2, this is that scenario on the right side. It says PTO and social. Again, wages are going to remain exactly the same. However, notice here, Social Security is now modeled in. Again, and how we calculated that, she got 6 checks at $2,950. That's the gross amount. So she gets around almost $18,000 in Social Security benefit for the year. Again, not too shabby. But here's the part that I want to highlight. A lot of people believe that, and this is true, that if your income is low enough that your taxable amount of Social Security is relatively low or nothing, right? And what that means is if your income is below a certain level, the amount of your Social Security benefit that's included in your taxable income is hopefully nothing. But in our case today, she has to include about $15,000 of her Social Security benefit in her taxable income for the year. And again, we did a whole video on how this calculation works, but basically when you do the math on her provisional income, because she has the wages coming in, she has to report $15,000 of that Social Security benefit as taxable. So when we fast forward to the end of the year, let's actually just look at the delta between these two scenarios. That's going to increase her federal tax liability. You can see that right here by about $1,800. Okay, so she's going to pay $1,800 more in federal taxes. The other thing too that we need to talk about is health insurance, right? Based off her income, she's kind of in this place where maybe she could qualify for subsidies. So instead of going with her initial plan of taking Social Security right at retirement, what we're going to do instead is we're actually going to not take Social Security until the following year. So we're just going to delay it 1 year. And I'm going to show you why we're going to do that here. Let me go ahead and pull that up, that scenario. All right. So what you're going to see here is, remember, she has that Roth. She has a Roth IRA that she can tap that has $120,000 in it. Now, a lot of people are under the assumption that you shouldn't touch your Roth until later in retirement, right? I think that's generally good advice for a good chunk of people. However, when we're doing early retirement planning and we got to be creative in these first couple years, using that Roth and having it on our tool belt is actually really helpful. And this is a prime example why. Instead of her touching Social Security to supplement her income, she's actually going to supplement it from her Roth. Okay, so she's actually going to supplement it from her Roth. And what's going to end up happening is that her wages, that part stays the same, but then there's no other additional income, right? Because the Roth is tax-free. So it effectively works out to where her tax liability goes back to $3,200. So she saves $1,800 in federal taxes. But here's the part that's actually perhaps crazier. Remember, I mentioned that she's paying $700 a month for COBRA. Okay, most people assume, well, I'm just going to stick with my current health insurance plan because I'm used to it. Well, for her, what we're going to do is we're actually going to opt to get on an ACA plan. This is a real quote through her state's exchange for what a ACA plan would cost. Let me go ahead and pull that up. Based off the subsidies she would be eligible for, if we keep her income where it's currently at, it would be about $140 a month. Okay, about $140 a month. You want to round it up, it's $141. Okay, $700 she's currently paying, or we could do this at $140. That's pretty substantial tax savings, guys. It's about $559 a month in tax savings. This is exactly why you not only want to do tax planning that first year of retirement, you should do tax planning all the time, but you especially want to dial down health insurance planning at the same time, because that is huge. So there you have it, guys. It's not just about when you retire, but it's also about how you structure that first year. Getting creative with things like delaying Social Security, even just a smidge, using specific accounts like a Roth, and using ACA coverage instead of COBRA can, like you saw today, save you thousands of dollars in just your first year of retirement and help your plan go a lot further. If you want a retirement assessment that looks like the one that we did today, check out our free retirement assessment in the link below. We help clients make planning just like this happen every day. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I will see you next time.